Hey everyone, it's Catherine, and I'm back with another lesson that will teach you how to create your very own digital planner. So, yesterday we created all of these tabs, and today I'm going to show you how you can link these tabs. Before we get started, I do want to say that on September 19th, Apple released an update for Keynote, and it was an upgrade from version 8.1 to 8.2. So, I upgraded my app on my laptop before I started filming this class. And I realized this morning when I began recording that this app, this new upgrade to the app, has a major problem. It will not let you link to multiple slides from one page. So that's a complete necessity for being able to link your tabs. And I called Apple support, and unfortunately, there's no way to go back to the old version on my laptop. It's just not possible. So if you haven't updated your app, I do not recommend updating your app at this time. They did tell me that they have had multiple reports of this problem. Several people have called, so they've noted the problem and they're working on it, and hopefully they'll be able to release an update soon which will correct this problem. So if you still have 8.1, you're good to go. If you have 8.2, you can't do this in Keynote, unfortunately, at this time. Hopefully, within the very near future, like very, very near future, they release this update. But in the meantime, you can create links in PowerPoint. I believe you can download a free trial of PowerPoint. Or you can create links in Adobe Acrobat DC, the kind that lets you edit PDFs. You can create links in that as well. But this tutorial will show you how to do it. It'll work the same way in 8.1, and it'll work this way when they release that update that fixes the problem. So anyway, let's get started. So we focused on making these tabs yesterday, and right now we have two slides. We have the cover, and we've got the second slide, which has all the tabs. So I did say in my previous video that I wasn't going to create an index page, but I've actually changed my mind on that because I want to show you guys the multiple different ways that you can link tabs and link index pages in Keynote. So in order to link all of these tabs, we need more slides. Each month needs to have its own slide, and each tab up here needs to have its own slide. So we already have a slide for the front because when you click that, I want that to take you back to your cover. And so I need to create 12 additional slides for the month and then a 13th slide for the back. So in order to do that, I'm going to click on Add Slide, and I'm going to click on Blank. And now it's brought in this third slide. I want to have my artwork as the background throughout this entire planner. So I'm just going to go ahead and change the background of this slide to my artwork, just like you see here. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to airdrop it to myself from my computer. If it's already saved on your computer, you don't have to do this step. Okay, so I'm going to pull this in. I'm going to click on slide number 3, and under slide layout, I'm going to click on background, and I'm going to click on image fill, and there's my image that I just airdropped on my computer. So it's already on scale to fill. If your image doesn't automatically import like this, all you have to do is click on choose and then go to the folder that you have it saved under, and then adjust this area to scale to fill. So now that's my background on the third slide. So I need 13 more slides. Well, really, this is my 13th slide, so I need 12 more slides in addition to this. So the easiest way to get those additional slides is to go up here to View and go to Light Table. And then I'm going to make sure my third slide is selected because that's the one that I want to duplicate. So mine is automatically selected, and you can tell it's selected because it has that yellow box around it. So in order to duplicate it, I'm going to hit Command C on my keyboard and then Command V to paste it. And so now I have 2 slides. So I'm going to keep doing this until I have 13 slides. Okay, so I've just added in 13 slides, which gives me 15 slides total since we already had 2 slides. So this 15th slide right here is actually going to be my back. and I want the back to look like the back of an actual planner. So I actually don't need that background to take up the entire frame. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to change this to color fill, and it automatically filled it in white, but if it hadn't, I could just click on this color wheel and then select white right here, snow or whatever right here, or I could enter the hex code for white right here, which is FFF, and that's how I could change it to white. So this is our back slide. Our third slide is going to be January, and our 14th slide is going to be December, and all these other slides are going to be the months in between. So now I'm going to go back to this page, and I'm going to start linking the slide. The very first thing that I need to do is I need to make sure my page is locked. You do not want to accidentally select this and have it unlocked and link your page to a slide, because then whenever you touch the page in your app, it's going to take you to another page and you won't be able to use it. So just make sure this is locked. You can tell that it's locked because over here under formatting, when you go to arrange, it doesn't give you the option to lock it. It does give you the option to unlock it, and everything else is grayed out. And you can also see there's 4 tiny gray X's on the corner of the page, so that's another indication that it's locked. There are a few things that you need to know before you start linking your tabs. The very first thing is that you cannot group your tabs at all if you want the links to work. If you group your tabs, or if you even group the text to the tab that it's on top of, your links won't work in your app. Everything involving your tabs has to be completely ungrouped. So another thing that you need to know is if you have text on top of your tabs, which most people would if they're designing a digital planner, I believe, this is my personal opinion, that it's best to link both the text and the tab to the slide that you want it to go to. And the reason is, if you only link the tab and you don't link the text, there might be a dead spot in front of the text that you won't be able to click on when you're in the app. So if you wanted to click on the front tab but you only had the tab linked and not the text, there might be a dead spot right here and you'd have to click to the side of the lettering. So I just think, for convenience, it's best to link both the text and the tab. And the very last thing is you want to make sure, even though your page is locked, you want to make sure you don't accidentally select it when you're selecting your tabs, or it's not going to let you link anything. I'm just going to show you right here. I'm going to select my front tab and text, and then I also have the page selected, and I know it's selected because I see those gray X's. And when I click to add a link and I go to add link, see how it won't let me add a link. So just make sure you don't see those gray X's. You don't want to select your page. You strictly just want to select the tab and the text. So what I normally do this on my phone, but I'm going to do this on my computer so you guys can see. I normally type out a quick list of the pages that I need to link the tab to. It's going to be easy for this video, but in case I'm inserting pages in between my tabs, the list really helps me. So I'm just going to show you an example of how I do that. What I do is I would pull up my notes. I would normally do this on my phone so I can just quickly glance at my phone, but I'm doing it on my computer screen now. And I want my front tab to be linked to slide number 1. So I'm just going to write front 1. I want my back tab to be linked to slide number 15 since that's the very last tab. So I'm going to type back 15. So January, this is going to be my index page. So I want January to be linked to slide number 3. So I'll type January 3, and then February would be 4 because I don't have any pages in between at this point. And March would be 5, and I'm just going to keep doing this till I have all the months typed. Okay, so I've got all that typed, and I'm just going to move it to the side right here so I can reference it while I'm creating my links. So I'm going to start with my front tab, and the way that I'm going to select it, you can link the text and the tab individually, but since they're both going to go to the same slide, you can select them at the same time and link them at the same time, and that's so much easier. So I'm just going to start by clicking on this gray area and then drag down, and I just want my tab and my text to be selected. So I know that they're selected because there's a box around the tab and you can see that it kind of overlaps with the page, but the page isn't selected as well because there's those gray X's that are in the corners are gone. And then you can see that the text is selected because there's a box around the text as well. So I'm just going to hit Control and then I'm going to click within those boxes. I'm going to come down here to add link and I'm going to select slide. So since this is the front slide, you could technically hit first slide and it'll take you to that first slide. I just prefer, since I have to do all the other slides this way, I just prefer to click slide and then have slide number 1 selected and then click off. And you know the links are there because you see these arrows right here. And that's how you know something is linked. And when you click on those arrows, you can see what slide it's going to direct you to. So the front tabs are done. I'm going to do the same thing for the back. I'm going to click on the gray, drag down, make sure the tabs are selected without the page being selected, which is really easy to do, by the way. As long as you don't drag down too far, you're not going to accidentally select the page. So now I'm going to hold down Control, click in the boxes, go to Add Link, Slide, and then I want the back slide to be slide number 15. So I'm just going to add a 5 next to that one and hit Enter. And now these two will go to slide number 15 while these two will still go to slide number 1. So I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to show you one more time on January, and then I'm just going to speed through the rest of the tabs because I think that you get the idea after I do one more. So I'm going to click on the gray and hold down, drag my mouse down. I see my tab is selected. I see my text is selected. I see my page is not selected. Hold down Control on the keyboard, click on the tab, go to Add Link, Slide, and then I want to save that as slide number 3. Okay, so I've got all of my tabs and all of my text linked. So I like to go through and just double check with my list to make sure they're linked to the correct slide. So that's what I'm doing now. Okay. So these are all linked. So now when they're selected in the app that you use for digital planning, they will take you straight to the page that you want to go to. Okay, so to get all of these links placed all throughout your planner, it's very easy to do. So I'm going to just copy and paste all of this. And then I'm going to set up the index page last. That'll be the last thing that I'll teach you in this video. So I'm going to unlock my page because it needs to be unlocked so I can select it. And I'm just going to copy and paste everything on this page into all of my other slides. So I'm going to do that by clicking and dragging and see how everything is selected. And then I'm just going to hit Command C, and then I'm going to go to the next slide and hit Command V. And it places everything from that previous slide onto this page in the exact same spot. So I'm just going to do that all throughout. I'm going to go all the way down to slide number 14 and do that, and then I'm going to do something different for the back. So now I've got all of my slides filled in, and now I want to create the back, which is going to be slide number 15. So I don't need tabs for the back of this planner that I'm making. I'm going to select everything on the front page, and then I'm going to hit Command C to copy it. So then I'm going to go to my 15th slide, and I'm going to hit Command V to paste. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this white box because nobody needs to write on the back. And then I'm going to click and drag to select everything again. And I'm going to go to Arrange. I'm going to make sure that's selected up there. And then I'm going to type in 180. And that just flips it. It flipped the patterns and everything. So even though this flipped the pattern, I still need to reverse where the strap is and where the spine is in order to make it actually work, because that would be reversed for the back. So I'm going to move this briefly, and I'm going to just move this spine over to the side, and there's my spine. And then now I can place this kind of, you know, it's close enough to the front. And now it's completely reversed where it looks like the back of the notebook or the planner or whatever you're making. Now I'm going to set up my index page. The index page can be set up, however you want. You can use whatever fonts. You can import images like I prefer to do, or you can use text. You can create shapes. I'm just going to insert images like I was saying. And to do that, I'm going to go to Insert, Choose, and then go to my folder. And I'm going to use all the months that I used on the tab, except I'm going to make them a little bit bigger for the index page. So they already are brought in pretty big. And considering the height of this page is 725 points, and I want to fit 3 across and then 4 down. So I need to divide 725 by 3 and then make the width a little smaller. 725 divided by 3 is 241.666667. So I'm going to just say, I'm going to round it down to 220 so I have space in between. So I'm going to make this text 220 points wide, and I'm going to constrain the proportions. That's way bigger than I thought it would be. So I'm actually going to try 120. And that's much closer to what I had in mind. So now I'm going to place that, and I'm going to keep doing that with the rest of my images, and then I'll show you how to link them. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about, where sometimes you just have to figure things out as you go. Now that I look at it, like, this is kind of a funky font, and all of the sizes of the letters are different. So I'm actually going to give all of my lettering the same width and height like I had to do for the tabs in my last video. So I like the height of this March. So I'm going to make everything 120 points wide by 137 points tall. And this is something that you may or may not have to do. Okay, so now I'm going to center all of these and try to space them pretty well. I did forget to lock my page. That's very important. Make sure you lock this page while you're doing anything on top of the page. Okay, so these are all spaced. My page is locked now, and so I'm just going to drag these all together and center them with the entire slide. And I'm going to move them up just a little bit. And now I'm going to bring in the rest of the months and get these aligned as well. Okay, so another tip when aligning the second row, if you're doing an index page that's going to look like this, or with shapes or whatever, see how that yellow line lines up with May and June, but it also lines up with February and June. So you know it's directly centered underneath February, but it's also horizontally centered with May. So that is a good indication that it's aligned. Okay, so now I'm spacing these, and this is going to be my third line. So if you want everything to be equally spaced, you'll see when you move it down, this would be centered with the entire slide, where you see this yellow line going all the way across. When you pull it down a little bit, this is a good indication that you have everything spaced exactly where you want it to be spaced. So there's an equal gap between January and May, and there's an equal gap in between May and September. And I prefer that look rather than being centered completely with the page right now, just because I like the symmetrical spaced look. Okay, so I've got everything inserted and I've got everything perfectly spaced. There's the exact amount of space in between my lines and everything. This is how I like to do it. This is personal preference, but it's not centered with the page. So to center it with the page, the easiest way to do that, whether this is shapes, images, text, or anything, I'm going to group all of these temporarily, because remember, they can't be grouped if they're going to be linked, which I am going to link these here in a minute. But in order to move them exactly where I want them to be, I'm going to group everything temporarily. I have everything selected, so I'm going to come over here to Arrange and select Group. And so now this is briefly, very briefly, one group. So now I'm going to unlock this page because I need to use this to align my images, that have all the months on the page so it looks nice. So I'm going to unlock the page, and then I'm going to click to the gray to deselect the page. And now I'm just going to select my text, and it's now centered with, let's see here. It's now centered with the page, and I know that it's centered with the page for two reasons. One, there's a line that goes all the way across the page that's yellow, but it doesn't extend past the page. If it extended past the page, it would just be centered with the slide. But since it doesn't extend past the page, it's centered with the page. And the same thing for that vertical line. And I'm pointing to these like you can see what I'm pointing to. But the same thing with that vertical line. It's only centered vertically with the page. It doesn't extend past the page. So it's perfectly centered with the page. Also, if you just have 12 tabs to the side right here and you did what I did, where you make the tabs meet at the top and bottom, you can also see that that line is right in between the 6th month and the 7th month, which would be a perfect center as well. So that's a few different tricks to know that you have it aligned. So I'm going to place that, and now I'm immediately going to ungroup these. So now this is what my index page looks like, but just like I showed you earlier, you could do this with shapes. You could actually import a shape and then put text over the shape. I've seen a lot of digital planners like that. I've designed digital planners like that, but for this, I'm only using images because it just all works the exact same way. So I'm just going to select one image at a time and reference, again, my list over here. So I'm just going to start with January, and I want this to take me to the January tab. So I've got it selected. I'm going to hit Control on my keyboard, click on it, add link, go to slide, go down here to slide, and then type in 3. And then February will be 4. So I've got it selected, hit Control, click, add link, slide, and then take it to slide 4. So now I'm just going to do the rest of these. Okay, so now all of these are linked, and I'm just going to double check them like I like to do. Okay, so now I've got a good index page set up, and I've got my slides set up, and these are all linked because you can see those arrows. And so in the next lesson, I'm going to teach you how to set up dividers. After that, I'm going to teach you how to set up your layouts, and I'm going to use Adobe Illustrator for that, but there's a few different types of software that you can set up layouts in, but I do recommend Illustrator or InDesign or Photoshop if you're planning on selling these planners, just because the quality is so good, and if you want to sell planners, you want to have the best quality, so you can make your customers happy, and it's just an investment. So anyway, I'll show you how to set up a layout and then how to import it as a page into your digital planner. So I really hope these tutorials are helpful. I hope this tutorial wasn't too confusing because I felt like I got sidetracked just a little bit. But please contact me if you have any questions, because I'm so happy to help. If I skipped over anything that you wanted to know, or if you feel like I missed something, just let me know. Just contact me somehow. You can leave a comment. You can contact me on Facebook, Etsy, Instagram, my website. I'll link to all of it in the video description. And make sure you subscribe to my channel if you want to keep following along with these lessons. That way you'll be alerted every time I upload a new video. Also, subscribe to my channel if you want to check out my digital planning tutorials and digital planner me videos. And you can check out my website, naptimealt.com, where I've got tons of planner-related freebies that you can download now. Thanks!